This is Dr. Anita with another diamond moment. Diamonds are produced by time, heat, and pressure. The cut, clarity, and size of the diamond will determine its use. The use of the stone adds to its value. What pressure have you been under? What is the cut of your personality? Do you have a clear perspective of who you are? Does that perspective line up with where you want to go? How you use your gift determines its worth. Now it's time to redefine the previous steps of your process. In our last episode, we talked about what about me? What about me? When does my turn come? When we completed or got to the end of the episode, we had some solutions, and among those were just stop. Take a moment. Just take time to breathe. We talked about reevaluating your priorities and asking the question, are you a priority in your own life? We looked at just saying no. We can't be everything for everyone, and there are instances where we just need to say no. We looked at asking ourselves the question, why do we feel obligated to do everything for someone when they can do it for themselves? And if you remember, this is where we gave the loose understanding or definition of codependence, doing something for someone that they can do for themselves. Now, when we look at us in terms of codependence, we look at why do we feel obligated to do something for someone else, specifically when we don't want to do it. We talked about being of service to others and just enjoying caring for our families or loved ones or friends, where I don't mind pouring you a glass of iced tea or going, and if I'm going to get something from the kitchen, bring something back for you. But when I get to the place of feeling responsible, that it's my job and my duty and I have to do it, then we need to look at that. We need to go within and look at that. We talked about being uniquely ourselves, allowing us to have our own personalities and be who we are, to be creative and think outside of the box, and to realize that everyone experiences stressors in this life. We can't separate our body from stress, and so we have to learn to deal with stress in order to remain healthy, because what about me requires me to think and give some consideration to myself. We talked about the issue of giving yourself permission not to do everything. We talked about making a statement as opposed to asking a question. Instead of saying, I'm not going to be able to do it, is that okay? To rephrase it and make a statement. My father once had a very wise saying, and he said that anyone can take anything if it's in a sandwich. I said, what does that mean, Dad? He said, good news, bad news, good news. So when we're not able to do something, to make a sandwich of that is to say, wow, that's a really good idea. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to help you with it, but I'm glad that you're going to be able to accomplish it. Good news, bad news, good news. Make a sandwich. We also talked about developing boundaries, making sure that we have clear boundaries, things that we just are not going to do, things that we believe in that others may not, and it doesn't matter. They don't have to, but it's the true point for us. It points us in the right direction. We spoke about avoiding manipulation, avoiding people trying to manipulate us, and in so doing, taking our own advice, being our own best friend, to advise yourself as you would someone that you could care about. So now that we've looked at those things and we have evaluated them and we kind of know where we stand in our own lives, I want us to move forward, and I want us to be able to determine who someone is when we meet them? How do we know who they are? Another wise person once said that even though a baby is born with sight, it doesn't mean that they know what they're looking at. So yeah, you can see, but do you really know what you're looking at? Do you know the motivation of the people around you and what it is that they are actually doing? Are they being manipulative? And are they being manipulative to serve their own purposes? Or are they truly looking out for you? Another wise person gave me the instruction of do the math. And what does that mean, Dr. Anita? Do the math? Exactly. It means do the math. Is that person adding or multiplying your life? Or are they subtracting and dividing things in your life? If a person is in your life, they should be adding to it. They should make it better, not worse. They should not be a drain. Yes, sometimes our friends, I have an expression that says they'll strain you. Sometimes you can get strained a little bit. But if their main motivation is pulling you down, taking away, dividing you, keeping you from other people, you can be around them, but you can't be around others, then you need to truthfully look at that relationship. You need to recognize whether, when I'm doing the math, is this a healthy relationship or is it not? So now we're looking at relationships, but what types of relationships? And I would venture to say all of them. Whether it's from just a platonic friend relationship, if it's an intimate friend relationship, if it's a working relationship, whatever it may be, if it is not adding and multiplying your life and making it better, but you find that when you look at it and evaluate it, it's subtracting and dividing, then that may not be the best relationship for you. So in this particular episode, I want us to be able to look at something and to get to know it by its fruit. When we look at trees, scripture tells us you'll know them by their fruit. When you look at trees, you know that a healthy tree is going to produce healthy fruit. If the tree is supposed to be an apple tree and I find plums on it, something's wrong. Either I'm not evaluating appropriately and that is not an apple tree, but indeed is a plum tree and I'm calling it the wrong thing, or something is really wrong. I'm not getting the fruit from this tree that I should be getting. And that is an automatic red flag. So as we're looking at relationships and evaluating, is this adding or subtracting? Is it multiplying, making my life more and better? Or is it dividing me and taking me in another direction? When we look at the fruit of a tree, we also have to allow it to stand the test of time. There's sometimes that we move too quickly. Sometimes we haven't given the appropriate time for a relationship to mature enough to actually be able to assess it. Sometimes we're wanting something to happen so quickly until we're moving at warp speed. And you see that sometimes in meeting a new person and hoping that that new person may be the mate of your dreams. And you don't give yourself enough time to listen to them or to take the time to look at their actions, to evaluate the fruit of that tree, because we want it so badly. So we have to sometimes allow things to stand the test of time. After a while, will I still feel the same way about this person or this situation or this thing? Or have I moved too quickly? This is a real example of something that happened many years ago, but in a particular church that I was involved with, there was a young man. Evidently, he was attractive, and many of the ladies of the church wanted to speak with him and talk to him and kind of get to know him. And he took advantage of those things. He began to socialize with a number of different people, and in that, he began to ask and get money from them, borrow money from them to pay for this or to do things. And so it was brought to the attention of the pastoral staff, and they did as we are biblically asked to do, which is to go to the person privately and talk to them and try to correct the situation. And if it can't be corrected that way, to bring it to the leaders of the church, and then they'll go and talk to them. And if it still can't be corrected, then it'll come to the entire church body. And what stands out in my mind in that particular situation was that the comment was made that the man seemed to be so sincere, just so sincere. And the ladies couldn't believe that he was actually ripping them off, taking their money, scamming them. And so when the pastor got up and he brought it to the entire church body, because the person, that's evidently how they were making their living, was scamming women. And he brought it to the church body and he said that, everybody keeps saying he's so sincere. And the pastor said something that was profound that I have never forgotten. He said, yeah, he was sincere. He sincerely wanted your money. Sometimes we have to, again, look at the motivation of a person. They may present themselves in a very sincere way, but why are they sincere? Are they sincere because they really wanted whatever it was that they were asking for? Or were they sincere because they were a good person and this is what was emanating from their heart, or a part of what was in the fruit that they bear? So we are responsible to tell ourselves the truth, that what we see is really what we see. Don't allow someone to enter your life and then tell you, oh, that's not what I meant. If it's in an adult person and they're able to articulate their thoughts, what they said is exactly what they meant. You're not getting it wrong. That's what they said. And if that's what they said, that is what you need to move forward on. If they meant it, then and you don't take responsibility for yourself and being your own friend and telling yourself the truth, then whatever happens is no longer on them. There's another expression that says, the first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me, because I knew better. So we want to, as we're looking at this, we want you to be able to think about it. Do you think that you can change the other person? Is that why you're in the relationship? Or do you believe that maybe you can do all the changing? They won't have to, and therefore you can still stay together. We want to look at the way that we handle ourselves and others. Sometimes we need to agree to disagree. It's okay to be uniquely you. You don't have to live your life the way someone else would live their life. You don't have to do what they would do. There's times when people were born into the same family, had the same parents, and yet they still look and view life differently. Why? Because they each have their own gifts, talents, and anointings. They each have their own way of looking at life. And above all, I want you to remember that what's for you is for you. If someone is for you, that person is for you. And you don't have to worry about them leaving or not being there. And if they do leave, good, because it will save you the time and effort of removing them yourself. Thank you for listening, and join me next time as we redefine the previous steps of your process. Never forget, becoming is a process. A process has stages. One small change changes everything. So invest in yourself. Please visit my website at www.DrAnitaMc.com. That's DrAnitaMc.com for links and additional information. And please rate the podcast if you're enjoying it.